And welcome to Bronze and Modern Gods. Yet again, I am John, and I'm joined by my buddy, Richard. Richard, what's going on, kid?
Hey, John, what's going on?
Well, not as much as what's going on with you this week. You made some news this week in the comic book community, but we'll get to that in a second. First of all, I want to remind everybody that you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Bronze and Modern Gods. And if you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like and a subscribe. Come on, do it for us. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, all you got to do is bring it up and give us 5 stars and say, hey, these two guys are morons. Or, hey, I actually like the show. We don't care. Just leave us a review either way. And this week is a big week. We're talking about AtCon. Now, what is AtCon? You're going to find out later in the show, but it is a huge virtual comic book convention that's happening on Instagram. And the cool thing is it's happening live for an entire weekend. It's really exciting. There are going to be special guests. There are going to be sales. We've got Ali from Elite Comics 11 that's going to be joining us later in the show. And he has a huge surprise. And we have a little bit of an exclusive announcement here, which is I'm excited about. I love me an exclusive. But first, Richard, let's show everybody our nerd shirts this week. You go first.
Okay, mine is a repeat, but it has to do with the topic today.
Okay.
Hey, Miles Morales.
Nice little teaser. Yeah. I am wearing the first Bronze and Modern Gods shirt.
That looks good.
Thank you. I have to give 100% credit to my sister, Jennifer, who had it made for me for my birthday. So here we are. I'm wearing my birthday suit.
Oh, happy birthday. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. A little dad joke there. So let's get right into it. We can't have a hot book of the week this week. It can't be any other book, even a Bronze Age focused podcast. There is a reason why it says Bronze and Modern Gods. The hot book this week, I mean, come on, it's Ultimate Fallout 4.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing how this book went from, I don't want to call it second tier, but not necessarily one of the primary books from the modern set, to just skyrocketing through and past every other title out there.
It's happened. We're recording this on Sunday. It's going to go live Monday. It's literally happened over the last 5 days, hasn't it?
Yes. It's unbelievable. We've gone from prices for there's different versions of Ultimate Fallout 4, but the first print is the one that people seem to have the most attachment to. And that was going, I bought my copy at the beginning of May for about $425.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, we saw a sale of $1,350 for the exact same book.
I can give you an update. Today, there was a $14.99 sale.
And they're on eBay for $19.95. I saw one on eBay for $20,000, but so you can't really count that. But yeah, the prices are just unbelievable. And they're being buoyed by a number of different things. We've got a announcement that the Spider-Verse movie, which the first movie was so popular, the second movie is starting production.
Right.
That came out this week. And then we got an announcement that with the PS5 announcement that the next Spider-Man movie was going to be based on Spider-Man game was going to be based on Miles Morales. So those two things kind of poured gasoline on a fire that was already roaring, and it took it to a stratosphere where I can't even predict where we're going to end up.
It's nuts, and it deservedly so, I think, in some respects. It's going to be the flagship release for the PS5. There's already an exclusive. I don't know if you've seen the Miles Morales platform, the PS5 Miles Morales edition. They announced that, so I can see your eyes lighting up already.
Yeah, I've got to take a look at that. Yeah,
gotta have one. I think there's something in the zeitgeist that's driving this book as well, politically and socially in this country. I don't need to explain to people that, Richard, growing up, you had no one to look to at this level of like a Miles Morales as a superhero.
Right. I would have died to have an African American main character when I was growing up. Back then, there was people like the Falcon, the sidekicks. Besides maybe Power Man, but nevertheless, they just weren't those main characters. And when I saw Into the Spider-Verse, I teared up a bit because I could see for my children, here's a character that they can emulate. They can aspire to the same kind of compassion that he had. and it's a powerful moment. So yeah, there's a number of people in the community, comic book collecting community, who are attached to this character because of that, myself included. Uh, excuse me. But so we're seeing, I think, a surge because of the recent events. It's kind of lifting the ship to, at first, what I thought it needed to be. I've always thought the book has been undervalued compared to like Edge of the Spider-Verse, which is Spider-Gwen's first appearance. The two books are kind of they're kind of symbiotic. They're tied in terms of the characters' relationship with each other. But that book has been a $500 book for a while. And Ultimate Fallout was not at that level. And then it started to rise for reasons, I think, because of the social aspect of it. But it wasn't until all these other things came into that actually pushed it up to the point where it is now. And it's going up at the same time it's drawing up Edge of the Spider-Verse 2. There was just
It's
a
a perfect
$1,000
storm.
sale for that.
It's a
Yeah,
perfect
so
storm. Yeah.
it's amazing. And so it was originally going to be one of my undervalued books when we first started this series of podcasts. And I had even had another book. There's a Spider-Man number 12. It's a cover with Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen, and Miles Morales kissing. And I thought, this is going to be, if they do go the romance angle in Spider-Verse 2, this is going to be a good book. I was buying them up. I'm still buying them when I could see them. For anywhere from $8 to $15, you can get a near mint copy. They're up there for $85, $95 the last time I checked, because of this buoying of energy between those two characters, and this was kind of a combination that saw a rise in value. So it's crazy, and I wish I could predict where this all is going.
Yeah, it's initially shocking for me to see a modern book that's 9 years old selling for over $1,000. But then you stop and think about it. I've been slinging funny books since 1987 as a dealer or running comic shops. And I can tell you, the number one book that the majority of my African-American customers loved from Marvel was Spider-Man. And I always found that interesting. And it was because I was told the mask just kind of it lets people relate a little bit more to the character, because you're not seeing race or anything else. And Peter Parker is an average middle class, lower middle class guy, trying to make it. That's what I've always been told. So to have a black Spider-Man in the truest sense of the form, that's young, that like an original Spider-Man, Peter Parker, where he has those troubles with the family and the girlfriends in high school, that's the heart of that character. And so it doesn't surprise me in that respect.
No, I knew eventually people were going to catch on to the book. I didn't expect the feeding frenzy that we're seeing right now. I think it's a little bit artificial. People have talked about, I've seen mentions of this book, Ultimate Fallout 4, the first print, reaching $2,000 as a price. I would be impressed if we got to that level. I do expect a correction at some point. I think there's going to be a loss of energy and we'll see a dip. But I also expect when that first trailer hits, either for the game or for the movie, it's going to go right back up to the heights that it is now. And it will always retain value, in my opinion, because of all of the reasons we just mentioned. And it is the first appearance of this major comic book character for the millennium, So if you're a millennial, you can associate with him and the other characters in his same age group, Spider-Gwen, things like that. So it has legs. I'm concerned about the oversaturation that we're seeing right now with all the copies up on eBay.
I'm smirking because you're talking about the market being driven almost artificially. I'm not saying this is artificial, but the market was driven in some respects by a guy that is on the screen right now next to me. Before we get started, let me show you a little clip from Comic Tom this week.
The biggest record breaker. We are here to report $1,000 raw for the scarcest version of the cover A, the first appearance of Miles Morales.
That is so crazy. But again, the hype behind this character for so long, and again, it's just going to keep going higher. Look out for those newsstands. They are out there.
Hey, Richard, do you know who was responsible for that $1,000 sale of the newsstand edition?
Yeah, I was so cool watching that. You know, I actually tuned in to his show this week expecting to see that because of the impact. That was me. That was me. I bought the newsstand. I have been looking for a newsstand. I think I mentioned it earlier in one of our earlier podcasts that I was looking for a newsstand, Ultimate Fallout, because I've got the other ones. I've got the second prints. I've got the first prints. I've got the variant that's available. I've got everything. All 6 issues for both variants and standard covers. The one thing I did not have is the newsstand variant, and because it is so rare. In the year and a half that I've been looking, I've only come across 3. There's one up there right now for $5,000 out of my price range. I missed a sale for $650, $660 from the seller I ended up buying it from. It was a lower grade copy, he said. It was like an 8.5. But I got to the point where I could scan all the Ultimate Fallout listings and see by the barcode, the little tiny thumbnail of the barcode, I could tell if it was newsstand or not. So I saw that this gentleman had a newsstand, freaked out. It was an auction. I went and as I told people before, one of my tactics is to go in and even if they don't have a buy it now, go talk to the seller and see if you can work out a deal. And I approached the seller. I gave him an offer. He was unaware that this happened to be a newsstand and that the newsstand was rare. He just thought it was people were interested in his Ultimate Fallout, So I made him an offer. He said he had a previous buyer who was interested. The one who bought the 8.5 was interested in buying this one as well. But I told him about the newsstand rarity, and he says, "Well, I've got more than one person interested in this book. The only fair thing to do is let the auction run through." And I agreed. I mean, I appreciated the opportunity. He was just going to sell it to the other guy straight up, but because I mentioned it, I had an opportunity to bid. So I had to wait an entire week and watch the bid. The bid stayed at about $200 and some odd up until the last 30 seconds or so of the auction. I use a sniper software called Auction Raptor. Excellent piece of software. You can set in a bid, and in the last 2 seconds of the auction, it will actually place your bid and giving you that opportunity to outbid other opponents without them having opportunity to outbid you. I actually had my sniper software set to $1,101. I was willing to go that high because this book is so rare and I have not seen it before, and I wanted to be done.
Yeah.
Previous auction was 650. Bid was 650, and then the next bidder bid it up to 950, and then my software kicked in and got it at 960. I totally expected to lose because this is such a rare book. There was so much competition for the other Ultimate Fallout books. I thought for sure we were going to get some high rollers who were going to bid beyond what my budget was going to be. I wasn't going to go over budget. So I was, I was surprised. I was, elated. I immediately contacted the seller and did exactly what I do for every book when I contact the seller. I asked him to very carefully pack the book in cardboard and make sure that it is protected in the shipping. And he's a larger seller. He understood. He was already planning on shipping it in a Gemini mailer, which he did. Good. Excellent seller. And and I got the book. I was expecting some buzz around it because it was a lot of money. $960 for a raw is, at the time, I thought was a lot of money for a raw book. But I was willing to pay it because I wanted to be done. This is on my list of top 10 books that I wanted to collect for 2020. So I could check that off my list. I can say that I applied that money to something to meet a goal that I had.
And now you're feeling pretty smart, aren't you?
I'm feeling awesome. Yeah. Now that I'm seeing $13.50, $14.99 for a regular, UF4, even though that is graded and it's a 9.8, and this book is probably not a 9.8. It's probably a 9.6, 9.4. But still, the way these prices have gone, that $960 just seemed kind of sketchy. I was like, ooh, do I really want to spend this much money? Now I feel much more comfortable with the amount. The book is going to my personal collection. I'm not buying this book to flip or anything. This is something that I have done for my completionist's heart to make happy. So this will go in with all the other variants and other versions of Ultimate Fallout 4, and it will be a permanent part of my collection.
So please do not try to slip into his DMs and talk about it.
Yeah, not for sale. Not for sale. As a matter of fact, I shipped it off. One of the very first thing I got it in, I took scans of it because I like to do that. And I packed it up. I wanted to get it pressed and sent it to CGC. I refused to press it myself because I am chicken. Modern books take a certain technique and a certain level of finesse to press well. I can press bronze books, silver age books fine. The modern books I'm a little bit sketchy on, so I bundled it up. I contacted Elite Comics 11, and they have a pressing service, so I'm sending the book into them to get pressed. And once it's pressed, it will be then submitted to CGC for a grade, and then it will go back into my collection.
Awesome. So did it come polybagged?
No, it did not. It was out of the poly bag. It was not pressed. I did see a seam where the poly bag was, it puts like an indentation in the back cover. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted it pressed. But no, the poly bag was missing.
I ask because we have our first listener question from our email, which is bronzeandmoderngods@gmail.com if you want to send us a question or a show idea. And it's from Lonnie Cool. Lonnie Cool again. I wonder if leaving comics sealed in the original polybags is a good idea. And if so, does it increase the value? For example, X-Force #1 from the 90s. Should I take it out or leave it in the polybag? Well, Richard, why don't you take this one since you have some experience?
When you send a book in to be graded by CGC, if it is in a poly bag, they will remove it from the poly bag in order to do the grading, and then they will encapsulate it without the poly bag. So the poly bag does not affect the grade of the book. Poly bags have a tendency to cause color rubs if they're not handled correctly. They're not designed for the archival state of the comic. They're there to keep the comic from being wet when it's thrown off of the back of the news truck onto the pavement. It's meant to protect it from the elements temporarily.
Or like in the case of X-Force, to keep the trading card with the book.
Yes, that is another reason. When some of the comics from the 90s had trading cards that were included. And sometimes comics will have other mini comics, different things that are included in the book. In that case, yeah, the poly bags are there to help to keep everything together. But if your intent is to get the book graded, CGC is going to remove the poly bag anyway when they do the grading. So there really isn't any purpose to keeping the poly bag unless it's a historical thing. You want to keep it in its original state.
Like a Whitman 3-pack or something.
Right. That's a very, very good example, because those 3-packs had some rare books in them. And the fact that they're still bundled and kind of like little treasure troves, I think adds value in keeping them bundled.
I would say the modern age copper age poly bags, they can damage the book. Ultimate Fallout 4 is a great example. Nearly every copy has to be pressed because of the seam in the back of the poly bag on the back cover leaves this big, long vertical indentation in the back cover of every copy of Ultimate Fallout 4 that hasn't been pressed. So I look on some of the Facebook CGC groups, and these people are sending their Ultimate Fallout 4s in, and they're coming back and they're saying, I only got an 8.0. And people ask, did you press it? No, why? And they just don't know. So Lonnie, take the poly bag off. If you got a Ren and Stimpy #1 with an air fouler, just keep the air fouler separate.
Yeah, what I would do is I would take whatever's loose in the bag with it and put it in its own, slab, not slab,
Yeah.
put it in a bag and board, and then put whatever is extra in a separate bag and board, and then tape the two together.
I use Ren and Stimpy as a funny example, but it's true. I had a lot of high grade copies of that I have taken the bag off, sent them, got 9.8s, and flipped them on eBay for $140 each. And I just throw the air fouler in with the CGC slab, and people love it. So yeah, take your poly bag off. Well, okay, Richard, all this talk about your big purchase this week and all these live auctions and things that are happening on Instagram, we had a whole episode where we covered it. If you want to check it out, please do. Brings us to our special guest today, which is really kind of exciting for both of us because we participated in a lot of the events that he has helped organize. The Remedy Tour is what it's called. And he is going to be doing a big mega version of this with a ton of dealers called AtCon. And, you know, he's going to explain it better than you and I could. So let's just bring him on. We want to welcome Ali to the show from Elite Comics. What's going on?
Hey, what's up? How you guys doing?
Welcome. Glad to have you on board.
Hey, great to be here.
So we were just talking about AtCon, which I don't know, just from the surface, it sounds like a bunch of dealers coming together for a nonstop Jerry Lewis type marathon of live sales. It's the best way I can think to describe it.
Are you going to wear a bow tie untied, there, after the 12th hour?
All right, well, it's good to hear what the name conjures up for people. But actually, so it is actually the second virtual comic convention that Elite Comics 11 has put on. So we actually just had the first AtCon at the beginning of February, so before all the COVID-19 stuff. And it went well. It was great. It was the first time anyone's ever done something like that on Instagram. We had special guests. We had sales from different vendors. We had like a cosplay contest. A lot of like pre-recorded content that we put up on our page. People enjoyed it, had a good time, a lot of prizes and stuff. We learned a lot from it. It was awesome. I wasn't planning to do another one until, maybe next year or something. But just as, COVID-19 happened and the world just played some tricks on us, it became clear that once I saw the conventions getting canceled, if only for therapeutic entertainment value, like people needed something. And so that got me thinking AtCon too. But then, as you guys, and thank you for your support, we've been doing the Remedy Tour on Elite Comics 11, which is a series of live stream sales where we're featuring shops and dealers impacted by COVID-19. And we're actually letting them sell directly to our followers in a live sale format. And that's saved shops. It's saved shops. There's no question about it. So I'm actually really proud of that. I really feel good about that. I'm glad that we could use our platform to kind of help people get through this craziness. So that's still going on. I'm going to keep doing that as long as it's needed. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because that let us focus on this live sale phenomenon that's kind of across Instagram right now, and we've mastered it. Well, actually, I want to say master it because we're still learning. But that live sale format, it was not part of the first AtCon. We weren't doing that.
Oh, that's interesting.
We did not do that. So Elite Comics 11 is, we are the premier marketplace for high-end vintage books, especially on Instagram.
You are. Own it.
We're always posting that stuff. Mm-hmm. That's what we did for AtCon 1. We just had those consignment posts. There were no live sales. I went on live and I did some charity auctions for some cancer causes, and then for some children causes as well. And so that was fun. But other than that, there were no live sales. Mm-hmm. So this is different. So it's been such a amazing experience to go around doing these live sales with people across the country that I basically decided for AtCon, like the theme is going to be live. Everything's live, whether it's me interviewing my guests or me, live with vendors that are bringing their A game. And yes, it's going to be over the course of 4 days. And it's going to be a lot of live sales, and everybody's bringing their A game. And that's what it's going to be. So the focus is going to be on live. And I think people are going to be really a lot more engaged in that than they would have been on just posts.
So how is it going to work? Do you have it worked out yet? Is there a certain time schedule?
Yeah, there's a time schedule, and I'm about to finalize it, but I have all my vendors in place. I'm excited to announce my guests soon. We're going to be rolling that out very shortly. It's not far away, but I think this week is when I'm going to actually start doing some of the big announcements that I need to do. But we've been so busy getting everyone lined up. It's a massive undertaking, 4 days of content. Honestly, if I'm going to feature these live sales, they essentially take over our page for that period of time. So, they're big. So I need to spread them out. That's part of the reason why it's going to be 4 days, because each live sale takes a chunk of time. However, for this, the longest live sale is going to be 5 hours. Some of these live sales we've been doing for these shops have gone on 8-10 hours. So there's not going to be any of that. It's going to be a lot more.
So I'm not going to get the pleasure of seeing you like Jerry Lewis at 4 a.m. sweaty, yelling at the crew.
No, and I have an amazing team. I have Bill and I have Joe. They've been jumping in, helping me out do these live sales, and we've been training. And so we'll be ready to go. But yeah, it won't just be me. There's no way I could sit there in the chair that long by myself. I would just be horrible.
So I have to say though, when you run those auctions, those live auctions that you're doing now for the Remedy Tour, you are running Taskmaster on those people, and you keep things moving and keep the show interesting, and there's no BS when you're trying to make sure that they get the maximum possible exposure for their comics, and that's always entertaining to watch.
Yeah, there hasn't been a total train wreck yet, which is amazing.
Hey, there's been a lot of technical issues. It's a new platform. It's something that not a lot of. I mean, a lot of people are doing live sales, but this split screen format. I mean, there's quirks to work out on the platform itself. I'm going around the country and I'm working with people that have their own tech setups. Some of them are really tech savvy, some of them not so much, but especially for the Remedy Tour, the point wasn't to find the best presenting people. It was to find people that actually needed help. And so we kind of we use them. I mean, we work with them as we found them. And we just said, what can we do here? How can we feature? If the picture quality wasn't perfect, but we could get it done and they needed help, we did what we could do. And that's what we've been doing. But for AtCon 2, I'm happy to say that almost every vendor has done a live sale with us. So they're gonna hopefully be pros by now.
Well, maybe we can help you with a little thing that seems to happen every time. We'll help you get the word out. Okay, everybody. You can't have the sale on the top of the screen because the whole key is that Ali has the followers, so he has to start it, and then the other person joins. So please stop asking to flip the screen. It's not going to happen.
The biggest thing with that is, I mean, it's kind of insulting that people think that I wouldn't have done that if I could. Of course, I want the seller to be on top. So if somebody can tell me how to put the seller on top, but still notify all the followers on League Comics 11, I'd be all for it. I'd love it. If anyone can figure that out before AtCon, let me know.
So you got some press coverage for this from the mainstream press this week. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, people are watching. I mean, it really is, like I said, I mean, I'm really not overselling it. Remedy Tour has saved shops. So people are watching, and the sales have been incredible. Of course, there was some media attention. Some of these shops were already getting attention because of the impacts they were facing. So you add, hey, we're actually doing this sales thing, and how are you adapting? And our name came up, and that's some of what you've seen. And we've also got some press coverage from just people like you guys that have been participating in these sales. And, a journalist recently reached out, and he saw a sale, and we did an interview, and, there's some more stuff in the works as well. So.
Great. So what's the craziest thing you've seen on a live sale? I think I might know what it is, but I want to hear what you say.
The craziest thing, like in terms of a sale, or
probably a sale. I have a specific sale that I was going to bring up, but if you have something else that's even better, go for it.
Well, I mean, some of the technology stuff has been crazy, and the community's been great. Like, there's been some interesting jokes and people having a good time, so that's been really enjoyable. But in terms of a sale, I think there were two craziest, biggest sales. One was there was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. That's probably what you're talking about.
Yes.
A 9.4 big sale. Remark and Sketch and signatures by both creators inside, and there was a counter offer, and I honestly wanted the book, but I deferred. And if the counter offer wasn't accepted by the buyer, then I would have made arrangements to get it myself. But I was so happy that that actually happened while we were doing a Remedy Tour sale, and the dealer obviously got something out of that, and the buyer got something awesome as well. So that's what it's all about. And then right up there with that, I remember when we first started this, there was a really high grade Spider-Man 129, the first Punisher. And there was a 9.4, and I believe it was a 9.6 as well. And somebody actually claimed both of them at the same time, which was pretty awesome. So that was when we were first starting things up. So
did it go through?
Oh, of course. Yeah, everyone's been great. Like, it's all gone through. I mean, there's been some characters that have showed up to some of these sales and tried to claim a bunch of stuff, and then they ended up not panning out. But red flags pop up. We check them out even while we're live sometimes, just to confirm things. And usually the red flags pop up for a reason, and so we just deal with it and move on. But the community's been so awesome that you can't let a few bad apples ruin what we're doing. So
what do you collect personally? What's your jam?
I got into this because of the vintage books, so the fundamental classics. So like this is my favorite book, so I'm going to show you my favorite.
I love that you just happen to have it right next to you.
Yeah, I might have got a little. I knew you might ask something like this, so this is my favorite book. I don't know if you've seen it. This is because it has a story. So I get a lot of books; they come and they go, but this one has a story. So it's X-Men #1, obviously. I actually, through a long series of events, I actually found this raw, virtually at least, in Germany. And so this says here, I mean, on the interior first page, it's signed by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. So You don't see this very often. So I find out about it in Germany, and then it's raw. So we go through this long process. First of all, you got to send somebody in Germany a bunch of money. You also need to know, is the book real? Is the person real?
Right.
We get it over here, and that's a whole process itself. But it's CBCS. I got it verified. I didn't even press it. I just sent it there to just check the signatures out while I still had coverage, just in case things didn't work out. But in the end, it's here. It's not going anywhere. This is a book that I'll be keeping.
Kirby and Stan, that is amazing.
Yeah. So, this is something I'll cherish. And then, the other books, I love the fundamental Marvel books. I'm a Marvel guy. I think, so I got my Magneto X-Men #1 back there, and you've seen my page, and I have bigger books, but that there is my childhood.
Yeah.
So I love that book. That's probably my favorite cover ever.
That impresses me to hell, because that's your childhood. That's my second comic store.
There you go. So, but the point is, there's something. That book reminds me of my childhood, and it just so happens that there's 10 million of them or whatever.
Still.
But that's the kind of stuff I keep. Something that actually, resonates with me on a special level. Other than that, a lot of these things, especially when you're running my page, I mean, these things, they come and they go. You see a lot of them. But So that's that, and then the other thing is, you know, some of the old World War II covers.
Yeah.
Nice little Schoenberg there, right?
Yeah. So this is awesome. You know, it's just history. It's living history. When this was printed, I mean, we see an epic cover. I mean, you know, Nazis, World War II. We got, you know, Cap, Submariner, Bucky. We see an awesome cover here, but it's just crazy to think that when this was actually being published, like it was depicting events that were actually happening at that time. And
Right.
so we look back at them even today and we're like, that's nuts.
Yeah.
But it just reminds us like some of the crazy history we share, like, and kind of where things have been, you know, so it's a good reminder. So these kind of things, these pieces of history.
That's a good point.
That's what we
This
collect.
too will pass.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody thinks, oh, you know, this is something no one's ever, you know, and it's true. Things, you know, the specifics change, but challenges, you'll find them throughout history, and humans have a way to overcome them. So,
have you ever had a 19 or a 21?
I haven't, but I'm working on them. I'm still looking for them. So if you get any leads, let me know.
I've had a Cap 74 and 75, but I haven't had an all winners 19 or 21 yet. So
Okay.
We'll compete for that.
What important question? Are there going to be T-shirts for AtCon?
There are. There's going to be T-shirts. We're kind of in this awkward stage where I want to, you know, I'm glad we're getting a chance to talk. But the final like T-shirts and a lot of the stuff is happening in the next week or so. So we'll be rolling that stuff in, new signs, all that stuff.
Well, you know,
yes, there will be.
We need T-shirts for the show.
Okay. Deal.
So everybody make sure you're following Ali so you can get all the latest information. It's right there on your screen. Am I doing it right? Yes, there you go. Follow him, please.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of bells and whistles coming. On the AtCon, I'll just go ahead and I haven't really talked much about this yet. So I'll just go ahead and reveal it. So
It's an exclusive.
So here's the deal. So you've seen the live stream sales, right? So we have, you know, it's our own might. It's also the might of our sponsors. I mean, we have CGC, we have Diamond, we have a lot of games, and now we have Big Apple Comic Con as sponsors as well.
Wow.
So I've kind of, you know, we've got some resources together, and you know, you're gonna see stuff like this,
Nice.
and stuff like this,
Nice.
and stuff like this.
Nice.
Right, and then you're gonna see stuff like this, right?
Richard, what book is that?
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah, what's that kind of book? But then, you know, just within arm's reach, here's one stack.
Wow.
Here's another stack. So, and there's a lot more over there, and more's coming. But here's the deal: the stuff you just saw, it's not for sale. Those are giveaways.
Whoa.
So basically, and I haven't unveiled exactly how, but the people that buy things are going to be rewarded very nicely.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
So that's I'm excited to kind of unveil exactly how that's going to work. But if people are watching this, they should probably be saving up.
Yeah. But that is going to be for sale. There's going to be a big variety, right? It's going to be everything.
There's going to be a big variety. And that's another thing. So the great thing, I'll say, there's going to be some consignment posts on Elite Comics 11, and people know what to expect with that. And the prices are going to be better than usual even. But one of the best things I've really enjoyed about the live sale format is our page has these really high-end books, and they're graded usually. There's a lot of demand for smaller books or raw books, and we can't usually delve into that on Elite Comics 11 proper, like our page. But these live sales let us basically give buyers like access to all budgets. Like all budgets of books will be available, different eras. So yeah, there's going to be stuff for everyone. So toys, collectibles, there's going to be a bunch of stuff. So
all winners 19 and 21 stuff like that.
100, you know.
Hey. Stop it.
I'm hoping there's gonna be another Turtles 1. So this time I might claim it. I think it'll upset some people, but I don't know. I mean, I'm still kicking myself for letting that other one go.
That was a crazy book. That's the one thing I was there live for that, and I was like, is someone gonna claim it? And sure enough,
yeah. That had to be the hardest claim to type in, claim, and then all those numbers.
It didn't stop doing 1 second. He went in. Damn.
Yeah, I have to say you have some great followers, people who come to each of the different Remedy stops and buy books constantly. I mean, it must feel good to have that kind of support from the community.
I mean, I can't say enough about the community. I mean, it's just cut my teeth or whatever you want to call it on Facebook. Like I started on Facebook. I sold a bunch on Facebook. I'm still on Facebook. I own the Vintage Comics group. But the problem with Facebook is, as you said, I mean, I'm no nonsense. I mean, I don't have a lot of patience for people that are just trolling or scamming, stuff like that. On Facebook, the problem is, you out somebody for being a problem, and then they could just go run into some other group and you don't know where they are. Nobody knows where they can operate somewhere else. The great thing about Instagram is you can't hide.
Mm-hmm.
Like your problem, somebody outs you, the community, it's over. I mean, it's over. Like you just can't operate anymore. So I always say, and it's the heart and soul of our page is, it takes forever to build up your reputation and you lose it in a day. You can lose it in a day.
Yeah.
And so
there's a literal IG comic sheriff.
There is. And we were doing anti-scamming stuff before he even got his page. And we worked with him on a lot of things. And I think that's great. And it makes the community better. But yeah, I mean, you get to the point where you feel pretty good that you filtered out the bad ones. And then at some point, the community itself just self-regulates even more than they were before. And it's been great to watch. I mean, I've only been on the platform for about 3 years. So I've seen it change so much just in the 3 years. I've
completely converted. I mean, I've been on eBay since 1999 selling and buying. And I'm like, why am I doing this still? So you've convinced me and Richard as well. Yeah. I just want to remind people that are listening on the podcast platform that aren't watching on YouTube, it's at elite_comics11 is what you want to follow. Again, that's at elite_comics11. Make sure you follow Ali. Anything else we need to hit that we missed, or anything you want to plug or promote?
No, I just think, we're going to keep doing Remedy Tour. We had a big Remedy Tour stop last night. There's still at least one more before we get into AtCon, but June 25th through 28th, like I said, people should save up, follow the page. I mean, I think it's going to be the biggest live stream comic sales ever. No question about it. There's going to be 4 days. It's packed. I'm going to release a schedule so people can kind of, figure out, plan accordingly, I guess, but there's going to be a lot to plan for. So,
great.
How do you have the energy? I mean, the Remedy Tour must just drain you to go through each one of those stops, do all the prep work with the individual sellers, and then just sit there and write herd over each one of the live auctions. And now you're doing the AtCon. It's got to be draining.
It is. But to answer your question, I mean, how do I find the energy? Well, first of all, obviously Elite Comics 11, we're growing over this as well. But the real truth is, because I mean, I have other things to do. I could do other things. I actually have like 3 careers. The problem though, I mean, not the problem, but what drives me when push comes to shove is you're not on the phone calls with the dealers or the shops afterwards when I hear like what kind of impact it actually had on them.
Yeah.
And it just it rejuvenates you so much to like show up for the next one. And so, not to get too sappy or whatever, but that is, I mean, it to be able to grow your company and then truly like help other businesses at the same time, that's been special. We'll keep going. AtCon 2 though, that's Elite Comics 11. And like I said, most of the people that are going to be selling, they either didn't need a Remedy tour because they were able to, do online sales, or they've already done one. So by now they're in good shape and they're just ready to put on a show. So it's going to be fun.
It makes me think of something completely off to the side, but I've been wondering about this. What's going to happen to services like GPA? Because they're not tracking these kind of sales, and it's got to be interesting. I wonder if they're thinking ahead or if they're just kind of like Overstreet with their heads in the sand.
Yeah, I mean it's a good point. I think as maybe as there's more and more off these traditional site sales, like sales somewhere else, I mean it's got to be there's got to be an interest. I mean, we're not reporting any sales,
right? And no one's tracking that turtle sale, for example.
Right.
No, and I guess you could sell. I think you can self-report, right? You could, but it's a good thing. I mean, that's why GPA is just kind of a guidepost, and I think people in our community, they kind of expect to get somewhat of a deal. I mean, I spent a bunch of time, screening the prices of things before we put it up on our page. I mean, I expect to give people a deal if we're going to avoid some of the crazy fees that sellers have to pay on other platforms. So,
well, while we've got you, the rest of this episode, we're talking about, of course, Ultimate Fallout 4 and the ultimate fallout of the past week. This guy over here has got his opinion. What do you think of it?
I will just say I love the character. I mean, I love the character. I mean, I love Spider-Man, okay? But, I mean, I do. And talk about a perfect character for the times. Obviously I loved the Spider-Verse movie. I love that. I mean, I'm a gamer, so I'm well aware. I mean, I love the first Spider-Man game for PlayStation 4, and then I saw the new one, so that pushes it over the top. But then there's a bigger conversation, a bigger realization going on about, a lot of the race issues as well. That's built into the character. I'm a hybrid myself, so the character resonates with me. I'm a huge fan. I think it's good for everyone for a character like that to get the spotlight, and I wish everything and everyone involved with that like luck, and I'm a big fan myself, so I have my share as well. So
no, it's amazing. I mean, obviously, we talked about on last week's show. I'm feeling FOMO, and I have absolutely zero connection to Spider-Man or the character. I'm a Kirby Cap guy, and even I'm like, I don't have one of those. What's going on here?
Well, I mean, I showed you what I collected, so I mean, the stuff, I have that, and that's what I love, and there's an investment side to that, and you can go on and on about that, and then people will criticize moderns or whatever, but like I told you, like even that Magneto one over there, like there's 10 million of those, but you know what, that book brings me joy. That's why I have it. When we're talking about my personal collection, there's room for things that I just enjoy, and that's it. Like, I don't care how much they're worth, I don't care how many were printed. If it gives me joy, it's in my collection. So
that's a great way to wrap it up. And we want to thank you for joining us. And again, if you're not following Ali, it's at elite_comics11. And you've got AtCon coming June 25th
through 28th.
Through the 28th. So make sure you stick around and follow him and get all the updates and information on those great giveaways. Thank you so much for joining us. And hopefully this is not the last time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
That was awesome. It was really good to have Ali here. And just, I asked him flat out, am I pronouncing your name right? Because I've heard people butcher it 9 different ways. It is Ali, like his hero, Muhammad Ali. That's the easiest way to remember it. So it was great to have him.
Thanks for your time today.
So we're at the time for our underrated books of the week. I've got one that I love this book so much. Thunderbolts #1. Now, Is it a hugely expensive book? No. Is it a hot book? Not at the moment. But is it an entertaining book? Hell yeah. Thunderbolts was conceptualized by Kurt Busiek and Mark Bagley as the new masters of evil. But boy, when this book came out in 1997, no one knew that. It was such a mind blower. It was like this new super team that was taking the place of the Avengers and the Fantastic Four when they went into the Onslaught universe, which is when Liefeld and Lee took over the books for a year. That worked out well. And so we needed new superheroes in the Marvel universe, and the Thunderbolts were this new superhero team that first appeared in the Incredible Hulk. And you got the first issue of Thunderbolts, and it's kind of underordered because it was 1997. Marvel was in the throes of bankruptcy still. Orders were low. The hobby was really hurting. And no one wanted to take a chance on this group of unknown superheroes. Oh, it'll be canceled in a year. Who cares? So the book is kept really secret. Nobody knows what the true intent of this book is. And you read this first issue, and there's these great superheroes, and they're helping out, and they're saving the day, and they're super cool. And then you get to the last 3 pages, and they get to their headquarters. And the leader, Citizen V, is like, wow, we fooled those morons, didn't we? And you're like, huh? What's going on? And you find out it's Baron Zemo, Goliath, Screaming Mimi, the Fixer. They're all really supervillains acting as heroes. And
what a great twist. Yeah, what a great twist, to end that first issue with that kind of revelation. That was awesome.
It couldn't happen today because people can't keep their mouths shut. I mean, the internet was in its infancy then, so it took a while to, have the book come out and have people on news groups talk about it at the time, to get on AOL. So, you kind of were able to keep it a secret back then. But boy, I remember getting to the end of that and going, huh? And of course, they had to go into a second print. It became a super hot book at that point, and it ran for quite a few years. And it's been rebooted a few times since then. It's currently not being published now. I think this is a property that people kind of took for granted for the longest time. And they're like, oh, I felt a certain comfort seeing Thunderbolts on the stand, because a book from the 90s to survive that, a non-mutant book from the 90s to survive that long. I think the only other books from the 90s to survive that were launched were Deadpool and Cable. And even those have, Deadpool's a whole nother story, but there was a point where Deadpool was canceled and nobody cared. So we are coming up on the, not the 20th anniversary, but I think the 15th anniversary, 1997. My math, I was told there would be no math. Let's see, 23 years. We're coming up on the 25th anniversary in a couple of years.
Wow.
And what is the 25-year rule, Richard?
Right. That means nostalgia kicks in.
Exactly. So right now you've got a book, the 90-day GPA in a 9.8 is only $92, and there's just 76 9.8s on the census. So still a book that I think is undervalued for lasting as long as it did. It just takes another relaunch. It takes another, cameo of Baron Zemo. Baron Zemo is the villain in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, coming to Disney Plus, just FYI. Mm-hmm. Or as Jerry Blank from Strangers with Candy would say, for your FYI information. You might want to get a Thunderbolt. So what's your book this week?
Yeah, my book is, I'm surprised I haven't talked about this one before, because this is kind of like my thing. Everybody has a thing, the book that they collect because they think it's cool, and they may over collect. And that's kind of it for me. It's Marvel Superheroes number 20. This is the iconic book with Dr. Doom on the cover in his super villain pose with Doom in big letters behind his head. Beautiful, beautiful color, dark greens, the blacks, and it's just a great looking cover. If you flip through all the rest of the Marvel superheroes books, it kind of stands out. Oh, yeah. And this is Dr. Doom's first solo appearance. I mean, he's always appeared with other characters, Fantastic Four being the most prominent, but this is his first book on his own. And the story itself is pretty innocuous. He's there with Diablo. It introduces his love interest, Valeria. So it's an opportunity to have that first appearance. But in general, it's Doom kind of filling in his backstory with this book, and showing that he wasn't the person that he was when Valeria first fell in love with him. It's a lot of character development in this book, and this is also, there are some other backstories in the book as well. But it's a book that I really fell in love with because of the cover. I'm a big Doctor Doom fan. I noticed when I was looking at buying Doctor Doom books, the big book that you bought was Fantastic Four #5. That's Doctor Doom's first appearance. That book, as I found out, is very expensive because I actually did go and buy a copy of it. But I wanted to have additional books, additional appearances of him, and this book is really from 1969. It is a early appearance of him with, like I said, on his own. And you could go and find this book on eBay. For a while there, I was buying them for between $30 and $80. And I could buy some fairly good quality books. This is a book that really responds well to cleaning. That big Doom that's on the front of the book gets dirt on it, but it's all white. So you buy the book, the person thinks it's a filthy book because all the Doom has got schmutz in it. You buy the book, you use proper cleaning techniques. I use white erasers, which don't leave any marks, and I could clean up all that dirt in those Dooms and end up with a book that is a grade higher, if not more, for a book that I bought inexpensively. So I have purchased over the past year and a half 14 copies of this book, and none of them I've purchased for over $120. It's just as I see quality books and I know I can clean them up and they're available, I've been buying them. And the reason why I've done this is because I see Doctor Doom and the MCU's future. It's the writing is on the wall. Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom, Namor, they're all coming to the MCU. Sometimes maybe not in this particular phase, but they will be in the following phase, almost guaranteed. So now is the time to buy, again, skate to where the puck is going to be, not where it is. Now is the time to buy these books while they're cheap and underrated and undervalued, because when it comes time that Doctor Doom shows up in a trailer and people go and look to buy books, they'll see that at Fantastic Four #5 is it going to be a $10,000 book? That's out of their range. But this book, Marvel Superheroes #20, may only be $1,000 book, and they may lean towards that. So now it's time to buy it at $80, squirrel it away, and wait for that trailer to be released or that announcement to come and watch, just like Miles Morales and Ultimate Fallout has happened. Because I was buying those books for $6, $8, the second prints in people's back bins, and just squirreled them away for a rainy day. And now look where we are. So it's a great book for that. You can still find them on eBay. They're a little bit more pricey. You're starting to see people sell graded copies for a significantly higher price than the raws, which is fine.
Are they selling, or are they just listing them?
They are selling slowly. If they list them crazily, I mean, if the price is, for example, a 8.0 right now is going for about $325. If you list it at $325, you can probably get that money. But if you list it at $600, you're probably going to sit there for a long time with that particular listing.
But it's a great point, though. This is a book, just in my experience, bopped around in dollar bins and quarter bins for years. Nobody gave a crap, and it's those square bounds are remarkably resilient. They can take a good cleaning, they can take a nice press, and come out looking a lot better than when you can leave them better than you found them.
Absolutely. It's amazing. I hate to reveal my secrets because I am still buying these.
Don't buy it, people. It's worth it.
It's they have a white back. The white back picks up dirt, and people, as they're pricing these books to sell them, will price them based on their appearance.
Yeah.
And they sometimes look dirty. They come in here looking dirty, and I have, through experience, I know what to look for to determine a quick gauge of the quality of the book. And if I bring it in, I will put it down on my work table, and I will do the best I can to clean it up. Like I said, hopefully raising it a couple grade levels, and then I'll put it in a bag and board, and put it away. I took some and graded them. I took a total of 5 books. The highest one came back as an 8.0. And those books are on my shelf. I sold one of them through Shortbox app. I paid $100 for it. I sold it for $200.
Nice.
I was just testing them at the market to see what the values of the book is going to be. It's a good book. It's one of those, in my opinion, safe bets. It may not be immediate payoff, but you are almost guaranteed to see Doom sometime here in the next few years, just because he has to be. He is such a powerful character. Him, Galactus, I know they're all powerful characters. Fantastic Four, and their stories are so integral to the Marvel DNA. I can't see how you can continue not to have those characters, or even the X-Men. These are characters that have significance to the audience, and I could see them being big money makers for Marvel.
And obviously that tryout issue sold well enough, because the next year in 1970, Dr. Doom got his own strip in Astonishing Tales, a really weird hybrid book that he split with Kazar. Great. Some good thinking there editorially, Dan. But that's probably going to be next on your list, is to chase that Astonishing Tales run. We could do a whole episode about supervillain team up. That was like one of my favorite books as a kid, and I go back and I look at it now, and it's so schizophrenic. But that's a whole episode. Well, we want to thank everybody. This is a jam-packed episode this week. We did not have an artist spotlight because it's just so much. We're going to hit that next week if you missed that. And we want to thank everybody. We want to thank Ali from Elite Comics 11. Again, if you're following him on Instagram, it's Elite_Comics 11. And make sure you get ready for AtCon. We will be there. And we will see you next week.